Good evening, basketball fans. This is Claude Sullivan speaking from Madison Square Garden, New York City. And once again, it's the pleasure of Dixie Ice Cream, the cream of the bluegrass, and Purcell's of Lexington to bring you another play-by-play account of the University of Kentucky Wildcats as they start into their first game of the National Invitational Tournament. The game is being played here in New York City's Madison Square Garden between the University of Kentucky Wildcats and the Loyola University Ramblers from Chicago, Illinois. Well, right now, there's down on the floor game going on, and there's exactly 25 seconds to play in the game. And the score is Bradley 93, Western 84. So any hopes that maybe have entertained around through central Kentucky and throughout the state of Kentucky of the University of Kentucky and Western meeting are shot now. Oldham hits a free throw, hits a field goal to make it 93 to 86. Under the basket, Bradley scores again. About 14 seconds to play. Bradley 95, Western 86. The game will be over in just exactly 10 seconds from now. We'll stay with it to give you the final score the instant the game is over. In the front part of the court, Gish drops the ball, picked up by Garber for Bradley. He bounced passes on the side to Grover, shoots and misses, no good. The game is over. Western Kentucky has been beaten, 95 to 86. The Kentucky Wildcats come charging out on the floor from the tunnel far across the way here in Madison Square Garden. Western Kentucky has been knocked out of the National Invitational Tournament in their first game. Fourth seeded Western Kentucky has been actually upset by Bradley University since Western was picked as one of the four seeded teams. They've been defeated 95 to 86 by a hard-scrapping Bradley team that came from behind. Western led almost all the way. Finally gave up the lead in the last 6 minutes of play, and Bradley won going away. Well, to get back to the subject at hand, the University of Kentucky Wildcats are going to be playing their first game this afternoon here in New York City, the National Invitational Basketball Tournament. And the game, as usual, as will be all broadcasts, will be brought to you by Dixie Ice Cream, the cream of the bluegrass, and Purcell's of Lexington. You know, basketball fans, from starting back on November the 29th and going right on through the NCAA tournament here in New York, Monday and Tuesday of next week, it'll be the pleasure of Dixie Ice Cream along with Purcell's to bring you these Kentucky play-by-play broadcasts directly from Madison Square Garden. Dixie's brought you all Kentucky games this year, along with all the Kentucky games played in the Southeastern Conference, and they certainly hope you've enjoyed them. Yes, Dixie Ice Cream has had a real pleasure in sending these games your way. They really do hope you've enjoyed each and every one, as the Kentucky Wildcats have now played 30 games and lost only one. We want to remind you, too, about keeping Dixie Ice Cream on hand at home at all times. Dixie Ice Cream is delicious for afternoon sundaes, pie a la mode, and so forth. You know, Dixie's helpful as well as refreshing. And don't forget, for St. Patrick's Day special, that's brick ice cream, a center layer of green pistachio ice cream with 2 outside layers of vanilla. Dixie brick ice cream's already sliced. They're 16 slices to the half-gallon carton. Each slice is individually wrapped in Dixie stamped parchment paper and ready to serve. Dixie brick ice cream is ideal for parties, clubs, dinners. Dixie also has brick ice cream in the solid vanilla slice and 3-layer combination sliced with vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. Remember, there's a Dixie dealer near you. Well, getting all lined up for the broadcast, the Kentucky Wildcats are going into their 4th invitational tournament. This is the 4th one that the Kentucky Wildcats have entered. They played in the 1944 Invitational. They followed that up in 1946 and again in 1947. They won the one in 1946. That was back when Ralph Beard and Cliff Barker and Alex Groza and Wawa Jones were freshmen. The freshmen came into New York City and walked off with the Heart of America and have held it for 4 years since they won that. They were runners-up the next year, being upset in the finals 49 to 45 by Utah, which is in this invitational tournament this year also. Kentucky, of course, will be playing for the Double Crown this year. Next week, Monday and Tuesday, they'll be going after the Eastern Division of the NCAA playoffs. It, too, will be held here in New York City's Madison Square Garden. Just a few moments ago, the public address system announced that Tony Lavelli of Yale was in the crowd. And mentioning Tony Lavelli at Yale brings up the subject that this afternoon, right at lunchtime, we had an opportunity to go over to Leone's, which isn't too far from our Paramount Hotel, and attend the press dinner. Ned Irish from the Gardens was there, along with many other dignitaries from around the sports world in New York City. And at that time, Mr. Asa Bushnell, who's head of the Eastern Collegiate Athletic Conference, announced the drawings for the regional playoffs here in New York, the Eastern region. And here it is. In the first game, Monday night, Illinois will play Yale. Illinois and Yale, and Kentucky drew as its first opponent in the NCAA, Villanova. So the first game Monday night will be Illinois and Yale, followed at about 9:30 by the Villanova and Kentucky game. But we've got a big game on hand right now. Before we get into the game between the Loyola University Ramblers and the University of Kentucky Wildcats, we want to remind you that so far, Purcell's has cooperated in bringing you all of Kentucky's basketball games this season. That's been 30, or rather 28 of them. And Purcell's has told you about many different items that you can find in Purcell's for your home and your family. But for the remainder of the basketball season, starting this afternoon, Purcell's wants to pay tribute to the buyers and department heads who make possible each article you purchase. They say that home is where the heart is. So it's only fitting that we introduce you first to the department heads who do their selecting with your home in mind. As time allows during the game, Purcell's will pay tribute to 9 people who love your home as much as you do. But right now, here's the starting lineup for this afternoon's game, the second quarterfinal game, the one between first-seeded Kentucky and Loyola University of Chicago, the Ramblers. Starting for Loyola at guard will be Jerry Nagel and Jim Nickel. Jerry Nagel, wearing number 10, the name is spelled N-A-G-E-L, is a 6'1" Chicago senior. He's 21 years old. He's 185 pounds. Jim Nickel, N-I-C-H-O-L-L, is a Chicago junior who weighs 180 pounds. He's 6 feet 1 inch tall and is 23 years old. The real threat to the Loyola Ramblers is Jack Karras, K-E-R-R-I-S. Jack Karras. He's 6 feet 6 inches tall. He's a 24-year-old Chicago senior who weighs 210 pounds. At forward will be Ed Earl, and Ralph Clarick. Earl, E-A-R-L-E, is a 6'3" junior. He also is from Chicago, and he's 21 years old. He weighs 195 pounds. And 5'11" Ralph Clarick, K-L-A-E-R-I-C-H, is a junior. He's 20 years old, weighs 160 pounds. There's the starting lineup for Loyola. Their colors are gold and white, and they're coached by Tommy Haggerty. They're known as the Ramblers. The starting lineup is Jerry Nagel, Jim Nickel at guards, Jack Karras at center, Ed Earl and Ralph Clarick will be at the forwards. Barring any last-minute changes in the University of Kentucky Wildcats lineup, here's the starting lineup. Ralph Beard and Cliff Barker will be at guards. Beard's the 21-year-old senior from Louisville, who weighs 176 pounds. He's 5 feet 10 and 1/2 inches tall. His running mate will be 28-year-old Cliff Barker from Yorktown, Indiana, who's a senior on the campus of Kentucky, weighs 185 pounds. He's 6 feet 2 inches tall. In the pivot will be 22-year-old Captain Alex Groza. Groza is a 6'7" senior from Martins Ferry, Ohio, who weighs 220 pounds. The forwards for the Wildcats will be Dale Barnstable and Wallace Jones. Barnstable is a 23-year-old junior who hails from Antioch, Illinois. He stands 6 feet 3 inches tall and weighs 180 pounds. Wawa Jones is the 22-year-old Harlan County senior. He's 205 pounds and stands 6 feet 4 inches tall. I will have the officials for you in just a moment. In the meantime, we want to say that Kent Hollingsworth, who's from Lexington and does a lot of work at WBKY. He's the assistant sports editor for the Colonel and is in here in New York covering the game along with Tom Diskin, is keeping score for us on the games. And Kent's going to be right now in the process of adding up the totals, individual scoring honors, on this first game of the afternoon between Bradley and Western Kentucky, which Bradley won by a score of 95-86. We were talking with Coach Adolph Rupp coming up on the train Sunday morning and asking him this, that, and the other about the Kentucky Wildcats and how he feels about their chance in the bid for the two tournaments, which has never been attempted before. And he said the one thing that makes him happy about these Kentucky Wildcats right now is the fact that at the free throw lane, they're hitting better than 70%. Slightly over. I think it's actually about 70.9% of all free throws in the past 30 games, for the season, in other words, have been good. And that's an exceptionally good average for the Kentucky Wildcats. But getting away from Kentucky for just a second, looking back and recapitulating the Bradley-Western Kentucky game, Gene Melchiori was high point man with Paul Unruh. Both boys had a total of 28 points. That, incidentally, represents the high mark for the tournament. Jack Terrace of Loyola scored 26 here Saturday night when Loyola won their opening round game. Bill Mann for Bradley had 6 points. Dave Humrickhouse and George Shanakis had 2 points each. Charles Grover had a total of 20 points. Aaron Priest had 9 points to round out the Bradley scoring. For Western Kentucky, high point man was Bob Lavoie with 21 points. Second place honors divided between Johnny Oldham and Buddy Tate with 19 points. Johnny Gibbons had 16. Charles Parsley had 5 points. The substitutes, Ed Dibble had a total of 4 points, and Rip Gish had a total of 2 points. Say, right now, we have a gentleman standing back here from Lexington, and that is Mr. Burgess Carey. Burgess, we spent a little bit of time on the train, and here you are in New York all ready to go with a first-round game. What do you think about the Kentucky Wildcats?
Well, naturally, I think they're going to win, although, from what I can understand, Loyola is a lot better team than people think they are. Coach Rupp is a little bit worried about them. The crowd seems to think Kentucky will win just the same, and that's what all the supporters did.
Well, don't you think we have quite a few rooters up here in New York?
Quite a few.
Well, has anything happened that you think the folks back home might be interested in, Miss Gary?
Only that was certainly a thrilling game that we just witnessed. Western Kentucky played a wonderful game. They weakened right in the last few minutes. Everybody in Kentucky should be proud of them.
Well, Burgess, thanks a million for stopping by here in our booth. Well, basketball fans, that was Burgess Carey, who himself one time was an All-American for the University of Kentucky Wildcats. Of course, it goes without saying that everybody in Lexington knows of Burgess Carey. You know, getting back to something we think is pretty wonderful, that's Dixie ice cream. Yes, you know, speaking of ice cream, too, right now it's shortly after 5 o'clock, and that's just about a perfect time for Dixie ice cream. And here's a sure way to avoid monotonous meals. Add Dixie ice cream to your shopping list. It's healthful, flavorful, delicious, and nutritious. It's Dixie, the cream of the bluegrass. We are their way to get another crack at the University of Kentucky. Kentucky beat Bowling Green by only 2 points in Cleveland, Ohio. That was 63-61. Right now, we mentioned a moment ago about Purcell's paying tribute to the department heads. Purcell's pays tribute to Mr. W.R. Arnold, the merchandise manager of all Purcell's home furnishings. Mr. Arnold, who's been with Purcell's for over 25 years, is buyer and manager of the rug, carpeting, curtain, drapery, and slipcover material departments. Mr. Guy Terrell is the buyer and manager of the furniture department. Another important person in the home furnishing section is Miss June Urban, who acts as your consultant for any home furnishing problems that you may have. Purcell salutes these three, Mr. Arnold, Mr. Terrell, and Miss Urban. For a little background information on Loyola of Chicago, the nickname is the Ramblers, and as we said, they're being coached by Tommy Haggerty. This is his 4th season at Loyola, and they're taking part in their 2nd invitational tournament. Their first appearance in an invitational tournament was back in 1939, the opening one, when they beat St. John's in the semifinals, 51-46, and then lost to Long Island in the finals, 44-32. This season, Loyola of Chicago has played 27 games and lost 5. They have a 22-5 record. They have been beaten by Toledo, Holy Cross, Duquesne, DePaul, and Bowling Green. The outstanding victories were scored over Wisconsin. They've beaten Bowling Green twice. They've defeated DePaul, St. John's, Toledo, Villanova, and Purdue. They've never lost more than 1 game in a row either. They lost 3 by 1 point. Those were to Toledo, Holy Cross, and Duquesne, and all 5 defeats were on the road. The leading scorer is Jack Karras, who has 398 points. Karras holds the Loyola all-time scoring record of 1,485 points in 3 1/2 seasons. That's 103 games, incidentally. His high this year was 25, which he scored right here in Madison Square Garden shortly after Christmas against St. John's. The only seniors on the squad are Jack Karras and Jerry Nagel, the starting guard. All squad members are Chicago residents, too. Loyola introduced to New York spectators the first goaltender. That was back when you may remember 6'10" Mike Novak in the 1939 invitation. In the finals that year, Long Island offset Novak's height by banking all its shots off the backboard, and the Brooklyn Blackbirds won 44-32. In 4 seasons under Tom Haggerty, though, the Ramblers have won 91 and lost only 27. He was voted Coach of the Year by the Chicago Writers in the 46-47 season, and Jack Karras the most valuable player. Haggerty has a law degree from Loyola, incidentally, and he's a former athletic director and a cage coach at DePaul. That was back in the late 1930s. And last season, incidentally, Jack Karras scored 488 points to break Jack Dwayne's all-time Loyola record of 436. Second in the scoring department is Ed Earl, the 6'3" forward, who in 25 games has racked up 243 points. And third place honors in 27 games go to Ralph Clarick, the other starting forward, 5'11" lad, who scored 221 points. The fourth place honors to Jim Nickel, the other starting guard. In 27 games, he scored 197 points. The season's record for Loyola is 22 wins as compared with only 5 losses. Well, the Kentucky Wildcats have been off the floor and now returned. Their bench is across the floor and across the way from us here in Madison Square Garden. The game is coming to you through the facilities of WKLX in Lexington, Kentucky. The substitutes are on the bench and the regulars are on the floor taking their last warm-up exercises. Wallace Jones, Alex Groza, Dale Barnstable, Ralph Beard, and Cliff Parker. This is going to be a real test for the Kentucky Wildcats because Loyola of Chicago, in spite of the fact they're not a seeded team in the tournament, is highly regarded by everyone present. And they think that Kentucky's going to have a tough battle on their hands this afternoon, which we're going to be seeing in just a few minutes. The game is just about ready to get underway. Loyola wearing a rather peculiar colored uniform. They have a gold top with rather brilliant red, a dark brilliancy in the trunks. Gold tops and the red trunks. The Kentucky Wildcats are in their road uniforms, the all blue with the white numerals and trimmed in white. And the public address announcer right now is introducing the Kentucky Wildcats to the Madison Square Garden crowd. Here this afternoon in New York, the gardens are not too crowded. There's a few seats left, but for an afternoon basketball game, you'd be surprised. And now, here in Madison Square Garden, here is Gladys Gooding at the organ and our national anthem. The officials for the afternoon's game will be Matty Begovich, B-E-G-O-V-I-C-H, and Jammy, J-A-M-M-M-Y, Jamie Moskowitz. The two officials for the starting game. We're just about ready to go. The Kentucky Wildcats have their talk. Far across the court with Adolph Rupp. Rub the rosin on the feet, and we're just about ready to go. The Wildcats break huddle now. Come out to the center of the court. You can never tell. The fans here in New York City may be a bit in favor of Loyola, of course, who will be the underdog going into the game with first-seeded Kentucky. There's the check with Alex Groza, then with Jack Harris. There's a talk to tip the ball game is underway as it goes over to Ralph Beard, over to Barker in the front court. Barker to Beard to his right, and on the side of Jones, back to Barker, breaking by. He jumps, shoots. It's no good. Comes out of there, scramble for the ball, and the whistle as Wawa Jones hits the floor under the Kentucky basket. A foul is being called on Jim Nickel. Number 11, Jim Nickel, fouled Wallace Jones under the basket, attempting for the rebound. One shot coming. The first personal of the game. The opening 11 seconds of play. Jones shoots, no good, misses, comes out of there, stab for the ball by Groza. Nichols rebounds over in the far corner of the Kentucky front court. Gives it back over to Nagel, back to Nagel, who brings it in the offensive court. Cuts over to his left, sets her up, no score in the game. Back on the near side of the court, it comes to Earl, over to Nickel, out in the front lines to Nagel. He shoots, it's good. Loyola of Chicago goes ahead 2-0. Barker brings it in the offensive court to the Wildcats, over to Beard, who cuts into his right. Can't get in there as Nickel cuts him off. Gives her over to Jones, and the pivot it goes to Groza. He spins, shoots, no good, comes out of there. Rebounded by Earl for Loyola. Ed Earl rebounds, flips her over to Nagel. Nagel past the 10-second line with the ball. The crisscross, deep in the front court. In on the far side it goes to Earl. Jones almost gets it. Goes to Karras in the pivot. He hooks. It's good. Loyola 4, Kentucky nothing. Wildcats off the pace by 4 points as Barker brings her in the front court. Cuts over to his right, sets her up, passes into Jones, who breaks for the basket. The ball hits his foot and goes out of bounds. Loyola of Chicago putting the ball in play. A bounce pass in from Nagel over to Nickel. Back to Nagel. Loyola back on the move now, using the crisscross right at the midcourt stripe. Nagel fires in on the far side of the court to Clarick. Out of the front lines it comes to Ed Earl. Hyman in the pivot to Karras. He spins around, hooks it up, and no good this time. Jones over to Barnstable to Barker on the rebound. Barker in the front court, pulls it up on the far side, flips out to Beard. Beard sets, then weaves, breaks right down that alley, goes blasting in, and it's no good. Groza tips it in. Big Al Groza tips it under for the first Kentucky score. Loyola 4, Kentucky 2. In the front court for the Ramblers now. Ed Earl fakes one in the pivot, gives back behind him to Nagel. Over on the near side to Ralph Clarick, and the front lines it goes. Over on the far side to Ed Earl. He comes blasting out there. Beard bats the ball on the floor. Barker moves in from the front. Jones from the rear. There's a whistle and a jump ball. Ed Earl will be jumping with Wawa Jones in the Ramblers front court. There's the toss. Both boys stab for it. It goes to Carrick at the bottom of the circle. He can't shoot. Out to Nickel. Nickel cuts over to his right. Gives her to Nagel. Still in the front lines. In the pivot it goes to Karras. He spins. Hooks. No good. Wawa rebounds for Kentucky. Over to Barker on the fast break in the front court. Fires up fast one to Groza, who jumps, pivots, and before he can shoot, he's fouled on the arm. Foul by Karras. That's the first one. The first personal against Jack Karras, who accidentally caught Groza across the arm. One shot coming to Captain Groza. Barker and Beard move back in the shallow safety. Beard moves in along the free throw lane with Groza now, and off to his right. Groza shoots between the knees. It is no good. Comes out of there. Tipped over on the side by Karras to Clarick. Clarick brings it up the back court, gives it to Nagel, who crosses the 10-second line with it. No crisscross this time. Earl breaks down the center, but he doesn't get it. He comes on the near side to Clarick. In the pivot, it goes to Karras. He fakes a spin, then gives it over to Nickel. He can't get in there as Beard tightens up on him. On the near side, it comes to Earl. A high in the pivot to Clariss. Groza bats the ball out of his hands and out of bounds, but there's a whistle and a foul. Call against Groza for across the arms on Jack Karras. That Karras is spelled K-E-R-R-I-S. One shot coming to Jack Karras. Loyola leading Kentucky 4-2. Barker and Beard playing off wide of the alley. Jones under the basket and Groza off one notch. The free throw is good. Jones into Beard. Loyola leading by 3 points, 5-2, as Beard crosses the 10-second line with her. Feeds her over to Barker to his left. And on the near side of the court to Barnstable, who set, shoots high. Good. A beauty by Barney, who set, coolly knocked her in there. 5-4. Kentucky falls within 1 point of Loyola now. Jerry Nagel in the front part of the court crisscrosses. A high one in the pivot right on the foul line to Karras. Back to Nagel. He cuts, starts down the alley. Barker cuts him off. He gives it over to Nickel, who blasts over to his left. Beard takes the ball away from him. Starts to fast break up the court. The ball stabbed out of Beard's hands. He picks it up, dribbles, and let's see, they call it a double dribble. Groza comes in and complains that the ball was slapped out of Beard's hands, but the official didn't see it that way. They call it a double dribble. Clarick brings it past the second line for Loyola. Hyman in the pivot to Karras. Hand off, breaking by to Jerry Nagel. Goes out of bounds. It goes out to Kentucky. Barker stabs her into Beard. The fast break. On the near side, it comes to Barnstable. He pulls up in the corner. Eyes Groza in the pivot, who's jockeying, gets his position, and he's held across the arms by Karras. Groza started his fake. Karras grabbed him on the arm again, and Groza, rather than complete the fake, just stood there until the official saw it. One free throw coming to Groza. The second on Karras. The free throw's no good. Comes out of there. Jones taps it up once, twice, no good. Comes off to Ralph Cleric for Loyola. The Ramblers still leading 5-4. In the front part of the court, it comes on the near side to Ed Earl. Groza cuts one off the pivot. Brings it into the front part of the Kentucky court. Breaks in. Jump shoots. Good. A beauty by Al, who took off and broke in under the arms of Cleric. And Loyola called timeout with Kentucky leading 6-5. You know, basketball fans, today ice cream is rightly called America's favorite dessert. Last year, each one of us ate more than 15 quarts. Annual consumption will soon reach 1 billion gallons. That's why Dixie ice cream is a favorite with everyone, everywhere. Yes, it's the cream of the bluegrass. Remember, there's a Dixie dealer near you. The Kentucky Wildcats break huddle. Coach Adolph Rupp and Harry Lancaster sitting on the near side of the bench. The Wildcats are back on the floor. Loyola breaks their huddle. They'll be ready to go as Jim Nichols, 6'1" junior, steps out to put the ball in play. Puts it in play over the end line, though, and it'll come into Jerry Nagel. There it is. Plays resumed. 4 minutes of playing time gone by. Kentucky leading Loyola 6-5. On Ralph Cleric in the near side corner, gives it out to Nickel in the front lines into Karras. Nativity weaves back and forth, can't shoot. Out it goes to Earl. He does shoot. No good. Tapped up once, twice, no good. Groza gets the rebound. Goes on the floor with it as Karras comes in from the front. Has a whistle and a jump ball. Jack Karras, Alex Groza jumping in the Ramblers' offensive court. There's the toss and the tip over to Barker. He doesn't take it. He slaps it right into Beard in the front court. Beard sets up in the front lines with the ball as Jones comes bringing in over to Barker to Barnstable. Barnstable pivots, can't get in there. Back to Barker, back to Barnstable, over to Beard in the front lines. He sets, shoots, and it's no good. Hits the rim, comes out of there. Rebounded by Jim Nichols for Loyola. He cocks that arm for a long pass to Earl, breaking down the court. Doesn't make it, though. Up to Cleric in the front part of the court to Nagel. Right at the head of the circle. Nagel holds up. Fires it out in the front lines to Cleric, who sets, shoots. It is no good. Cleric stabs it up once, still no good. Flips it back in court to Nickel, who jump shoots. It's no good. Comes out of there. Barker rebounds for Kentucky, right on the foul line. Breaks up in the front part of the court. Pulls into the corner, can't shoot, over to Barnstable, who flips behind a Beard, who fakes, goes around. Cleric gives it to Barker, who flips it up with one hand. It is no good. Comes out there. Groza stabs it in. Groza on the rebound, sends Kentucky out on top, 8-5. Loyola back on the move now. Ralph Cleric moves it into the near side corner. Back out to Nickel. In a pivot, it goes to Karras. He weaves around, not shooting so readily over Groza. Out it comes to Cleric. He shoots no good. Groza goes for the rebound. Finally gets himself free and the arms off of it. Passes up intended for Barnstable. Batted down by Cleric and picked up by Nickel. He jump shoots good. On the intercepted pass, Kentucky 8, Loyola 7. 1 point lead for Kentucky as Beard crosses the 10-second line. Weaves over to his left, gives it to Jones. Jones standing on the near side, fires one right into Groza, who spins, goes down the alley, jumps to shoot, and they call a foul under there on Jack Karras. That's 3 of them. 3 of them on 6'6" Jack Karras. 3 of them, and Groza's on the line now for the Wildcats. Kentucky leading by 1 point here in the second quarterfinal game of the afternoon. In the opening quarterfinal game, Bradley beat Western by a score of 95-86. Groza shoots. He missed another one. No good. Comes out of there off to the left. Groza looks around for the clock. 5 minutes, 25 seconds gone by. Groza shoots again. It's good this time, and Kentucky leads 9-7. Nagel takes the ball out. Rips her up the court to Earl. Moves in the offensive court for Loyola. Back over to Jerry Nagel, who moves off to the right. Hyman in the pivot to Karras. He spins around, hooks her up there. This time Groza tries to block. There's a whistle, and they call Groza for charging. Foul on Groza. That's his second one. Two of them on Alex Groza, and 2 shots coming to Jack Karras of Loyola with a chance to tie the game up. 6'1" Jerry Nagel moves back almost to the head of the Kentucky offensive foul circle. The free throw by Karras, the first one, good. 9-8 the score. 1 point lead for Kentucky. It'll be in play now. Karras bounds it ball once. Nagel moves back into safety. Deep in the backcourt. There's the second free throw. Good. The ball game is tied up at 9-9. Jones in the Beard in the front part of the court to Barker on the near side of Barnstable. He sets, shoots high. It's no good. Goes in and rims out of there. Karras rebounds and over to Earl for Loyola. Barnstable almost connected again on the near side of the court, about 25 feet off to the right. Nagel brings it to the front part of the court, and it goes to Karras. Breaking by, Nickel shoots. He can't get it in there. Under the boards, too far. Beard crowds him. Rebounded by Groza. Beard in the offensive court gives her over to Jones. Karras switches off on Jones as he moves in on the pivot. Barker moves in with Jones. He looks for his man open, fires it over to Beard. Out on the near side, Beard breaks straight down in the alley. Moving in on him, they call Beard for walking as the ball's batted into his knee. Ralph Cleric took the ball out and started running up the sidelines, trying to get the fast break going. The whistle slows it down, and Nagel throws into Ralph Cleric, who moves it past the 10-second line to Loyola. The score tied 9-9 as Cleric sets, shoots, short, hits the rim, comes out of there, and Barnstable rebounds on the far side of the court for the Wildcats over to Beard. Wildcats on the attack again now. Beard in the offensive court. Bounce pass into Jones at the head of the circle. He flips it to Barker, breaking by, lays her in. Barker blasting right down off to the left of the alley. Swims Kentucky ahead, 11-9. 2-point lead for the Wildcats. The offensive court, Jim Nickel pulls up in the front lines. In on the near side to Ed Earl, who jump shoots high, falling away from Jones, and it's good. A one-hander about 25 feet over to the right. The game again tied up, 11-11. Beard starts up the court, fires the 10-second line with the ball, cuts hands off to Barker, cuts over to his right, flips one to Groza on the foul line. He jump shoots. Good, a beauty by Groza, a one-hander, standing about right on the foul line. Kentucky goes back on top, 13-11. Jim Nickel brings it in the offensive court for the Ramblers, hands off to Jerry Nagel in the front lines, gets a screen, moves over to Cleric, who breaks into the basket. Barnstable cuts him off. They call Barnstable for across the arms on Ralph Cleric, 5'11" junior. He's on the free throw lane with one shot coming. The first one called against Kentucky's Dale Barnstable. Loyola trailing 13-11, 13-12 as Ralph Cleric pours it through there and narrows the Kentucky lead to 1 point. Barker to Beard to Barnstable in the front part of the court. A hook in the pivot to Groza. He spins around, jumps to shoot. They call him for steps. He goes out of bounds. Nagel fires in the front part of the court to Cleric. He moves in. Barnstable cuts him off, so he jump shoots. Good. A one-hander off to the left by Ralph Cleric. Loyola goes ahead, 14-13. Barker up to Beard in the front part of the court for Kentucky. A high one in the pivot to Groza. Back to Barker. On the foul line, he hands off on the near side to Barnstable. Out to Beard in the front lines. He cuts over to his left, gives it to Barker. Barker weaves, moves to his right, gives it to Jones at the foul line. He sets, can't shoot, though. Almost tied up from the front by Ralph Cleric. Fires it to Barnstable, breaking along the foul line. There's a whistle. They call a foul on Ed Earl. Holding call against Ed Earl. That's his first one for Loyola. Walt Hirsch comes off the Kentucky bench. Should be coming into the lineup. When the ball is dead, one shot to Dale Barnstable. A chance to tie the game up. Barnstable eye shoots. It's good. The game is tied, 14-14. And here's Dale Barnstable coming out. He's replaced by Walt Hirsch, 6'4" Dayton, Ohio sophomore, 19 years old. Hirsch moves in it forward with Jones. Barker and Beard to guard, Groza at center. Score tied 14-14. The opening 8 minutes of play. Nagel in the front part of the court over to Cleric. Fakes, breaks for the basket. Hirsch jumps as he falls away and shoots. Jones rebounds as it comes over the rim. The long bounce pass to the midcourt stripe to Beard. He cuts into his right in the front line. Fires over to Jones, who goes all the way. Lays it in. Good. A beauty by Jones. Breaking down the near side with it. Getting the pass from Beard and then breaking right under the basket. Kentucky goes back on top. 16-14. Front court, the pass goes in on the far side to Earl. On the front lines to Nagel again, though. Ralph Cleric moves out with him, gets the ball from Nagel, sets a high one, the pivot to Karras. He fires it right back out to the head of the circle to Earl, who shoots no good, hits the rim, comes out of there. Rebounded by Barker. He starts the fast break with Beard, but they can't get in there. Beard takes the ball, sets with a screen from Barker, shoots. It's no good, comes out of there. Goes over in the far corner, and Ed Earl goes to the ball for Loyola and gets it just before he goes out of bounds. Flips it over to Ralph Cleric. Loyola back on the move now to Jerry Nagel. Kentucky 16, Loyola 14 as Nagel crosses into the front court. Whips one in the pivot to Karras, who spins around, grows across him onto the board, but he lays it in. Karras on a jump shot, connects, and the game is tied up at 16-16. Barker crosses the midcourt stripe, and on the side it goes to Jones, back to Barker. He sets and fakes the stab for the basket. Fires it into Jones, is off in the pivot. Jones spins, shoots. It is no good. Comes out of there. Groza stabs for it. It rolls on the floor, picked up by Hirsch. Hirsch fires her into Wawa. It hits his arm and goes out as Jerry Nagel moves in under him. It'll go out to Kentucky under their own basket. 16-16 a score. Cliff Barker out to put the ball in play. Calls his signals. Bounds the ball once. Fires on a bounce pass over to Jones. Sets with the ball in his head. He can't shoot, though. Crowded by Nagel over to Beard, who spins around, jumps to shoot. He does shoot. They call Kentucky on the block by Jones, trying to screen for Beard. The foul is on Wawa Jones. That's his first one on the free throw lane. 5'11" Ralph Cleric. One shot and a chance to give Loyola the lead. Loyola still using the deep safety, Jerry Nagel and Jim Nickel. The free throw by Cleric, it's good, and Loyola goes on top, 70-16. The pass comes in from Jones to Beard, back to Jones and over to Beard, who moves in the front court for Kentucky. A high one in the pivot to Groza, who spins, hooks, no good, comes out of there, goes on the floor. Groza goes with it. Roll along the end line by Cleric. Finally, he gets it off to Ed Earl, and Loyola's back in possession. Ed Earl starts up past the 10-second line. A high one cut off by Barker in the front lines. He races Cleric to the basket, shoots, no good. There's a whistle and a foul called against Cleric. Against Ralph Cleric. Too much hip against Barker. Barker on the free throw lane for Kentucky. That's the first one on Ralph Cleric. Beard moves back into safety within about 5 feet of the midcourt stripe. Two shots coming to Barker. The first one will be dead. He cocks that right foot back, then flips her up and in. Drops in there. Kentucky ties her up now, 17-17. Barker with a chance to send the Cats ahead. Shoots good, and he does. Kentucky goes on top, 18-17. The pass comes into Nagel. He moves up the backcourt with the ball for Loyola Chicago Ramblers. Harvin in the pivot to Karras right on the foul line. He hands off to Earl. He gives it to Nagel, then moves in, screens for him. Nagel sets, shoots, but it's off the mark to the left, rebounded by Clarick. He jumps to shoot. The rebound's no good. They blow the whistle under the basket. They call a foul under the basket on Wawa Jones across the arms. That's two of them. Two shots coming to Ralph Clarick. A chance to put Loyola back on top. Stands in the free throw lane. The first one, it's good. And the game is again tied up at 18-18. The ball will be in play now. Ralph Clarick on the free throw lane to Loyola. Another shot coming. The game tied at 18-18. He shoots. It's good. And Loyola goes back on top, 19-18. Beard in the front part of the court, hands off to Barker, who fakes a cut over to his right, gives back to Beard. Beard fires it on the side to Hurst, who grows in the pivot. He spins, goes under, jumps, shoots over Clarick's head, but Clarick bats the ball out of bounds. There's the whistle. And they're going to give it out to Kentucky under their own basket. The ball was on the inline. Barker out, puts it on in play with a bounce pass over to Jones. There's a whistle. They're calling a foul against Hirsch for blocking. That's going to be number 1 on Walt Hirsch. All the way up now to the Loyola front court. Kentucky behind 1 point, 19-18. On the free throw lane, 6 foot 1 inch, Jim Nickel, Nicholl. Nicolai, he cocks that right arm, shoots. It's good. Loyola goes ahead, 20-18. Barker takes the pass from Jones, moves it to the front part of the court, sets it up with a pass over to Beard. Bounce pass in on the far side to Hirsch, back over to Beard, back to Hirsch. From the front lines it comes to Barker. Barker swings over to his left, gives it to Jones, who moves along the foul line. Spins, shoots, no good. Comes out of there as Clarick, rebounds for Loyola. Over to Jerry Nagel. Kentucky trailing 18-20. Clarick brings it in the front court for the Ramblers. Moves in, flips away from Barker. Gives it to Nagel. Back over to Clarick. He sets in the front line, shoots. It's high. Bounds on the rim, comes out of there. Clarick stabs it up once, twice, no good. Finally, Groza tips it way out of there to Hirsch over to Beard. Beard moves in the front part of the court over to Barker. He sets in the front lines. Some on the far side yell, shooter goes in the pivot to Hirsch over to Groza, who moves in, fakes a shot, then lays her under the arms of Nickel. The goal will count. The game is tied at 20-20. They call the foul on Karras. They call it on Karras. Both Karras and Jim Nickel were in on him. That's 4 of them on Jack Karras. Karras points to himself and says, "Oh, no, you mean Jim Nickel." The official comes out and right on the bottom of the foul line yells, 18. The fans boo. That's 4 of them on Karras. Loyola is going to be in a bit of trouble now with their star pivot man with 4 personal fouls. Haggerty comes off the Loyola bench. Argues with the official on the far side of the court. The official under the basket still screams. It's number 18, Jack Karras. Haggerty is not too happy about that. Then the fans begin to boo, sit down. They want to see the basketball game, which is all tied, 20-20. 9 minutes to play. Groza shoots. It's good. Kentucky goes right back on top, 21-20. Now the Wildcats are on top. The pass comes in over to Nagel. He moves up the backcourt, past the 10-second line of the ball. Holds it in the front lines, fires over on the near side to Ed Earl. O'Hara in the pivot to Karras. He spins, hooks her up, and no good. Groza rebounds for Kentucky over to Barker. Barker starts the fast break as Hirsch moves into the corner. Barker goes right down the alley, jump shoots. Good, a beauty by Barker. Hirsch managed to suck Ralph Clarick out of the pass to Barker. Barker took that right then and blasted right on in. Kentucky leads 23-20. Nagel in the front court. Fakes one to Clarick. Gives it over to Earl. On the far side of Nickel, back to Earl. He fires one to Karras in the pivot. There's a whistle. They wave. Groza. Let's see, they're calling a foul on Groza. Holding on Jack Karras. Foul is on Groza for holding, and that's 3 of them on Alex Groza. Here's a Loyola substitute. Coming into the game is Ben Blewett. 6'5" Negro. T-L-U-I-T-T. He replaces Ralph Clarick in the lineup. On the free throw wing, Carrick shoots good. And it scores 23-21. Jack Karras comes out of the Loyola lineup, and he's replaced by 6'5" Ed Dawson, D-A-W-S-O-N. He's a junior. Over to Barker in the front court, who jump shoots, no good. Jones tries, and Hirsch tries for the rebound. They call Hirsch for charging under the basket. That's going to be number 2 on Walt Hirsch of Kentucky. All the way up to the Loyola front court. Kentucky 23, Loyola 21. Jerry Nagel, who steps up to that red free throw lane here in Madison Square Garden to shoot his free throw. He has one. The ball will be in play. Beard and Barker off wide of the alleys. There's the free throw by Nagel. It's no good. Groza taps it over to Beard. A high one to Hirsch in the front part of the court. He can't hold it. Gives it over to Groza. The moves in, jump shoots. It's no good. It comes off the edge of the rim. Brought out of there by Cleric. He flips her over on the side to Ben Blewett. Blewett brings her in the front part of the court, sets her up. Out in the front lines over to Nickel, back to Nickel. On the far side away at Earl. Hyman in the pivot. Goes this time to Dawson. The spin shoots no good. Comes out of there. Barker rebounds for Kentucky. Starts a fast break past the 10-second line. Nagel moves into him. There's a whistle. They call 10 for blocking. Jerry Nagel for blocking on Barker as he moved into the 10 seconds. Past the 10-second line, Kentucky 23, Loyola 21. Dale Barnstable comes off the Kentucky bench. The 6'3" junior from Antioch, Illinois. They're waiting right into the game. Ralph Beard comes out at guard. Dale Barnstable, the Kentucky lineup. Beard and Barker, or Barnstable and Barker rather, at guards. Groza at center, Hirsch and Jones at the forwards. Barker shoots his free throw. It's no good. Groza taps it up, still no good. Jones flips it up there, still no good. And finally, Nagel takes it off for the Ramblers. A bounce pass over to Nickel. Kentucky leading 2 points, 23-21. The clock showing 8 minutes to play in the first half. Nagel out in the front lines, head of the circle, and he goes to Dawson on the foul line. He jump shoots a two-hander. It's good. And the ball game is all tied up again at 23-23. Another substitute, Frank O'Grady, comes into the lineup, and coming out is Ed Earl. Frank O'Grady, 6'3" junior, 190-pounder. That's O-G-R-A-D-Y. Barnstable brings it past the 10-second line, gets the screen from Jones, gives it back out to Barker in the front line. In on the far side to Hirsch. He moves to the head of the circle, gives it into Groza in the pivot, who jump shoots. It's no good. Comes out of there, tipped out by Blewett. On the far side to Jim Nickel. Over to Nagel, back to Nickel in the front court for Loyola. Takes one into Dawson in the pivot, then passes to Blewett. Out in the front lines, Blewett set, shoots. It is no good. Rims out of there. Groza and Dawson both go for it. Dawson gets it in the corner, and Hirsch moves in on front of him and ties him up. They'll jump from the Ramblers' offensive court. 23-23 the score. 7 minutes to play. The tip comes out for Jim Nickel. A high one on the near side. Wide open to O'Grady, who jump shoots, misses. No good. Jones rebounds for Kentucky. Over to Barker, who moves it in the Kentucky front court. In on the far side, it goes to Jones. The weaves around. Blewett jumping up and down like a jumping jack. Moves in on him as he gives out to Barker. Back to Jones. He fakes. Blewett breaks the basket. Then Jones falls away, shoots. Hits the rim and comes out of there. No good. Groza stabs it up once, twice. No good. Tips her out of there. Barnstable rebounds for Kentucky. Over to Barker. Barker sets in the front line, shoots. A high one that's no good. He moves in, though, and rebounds it. Hooks her in the pivot to Groza, about it high in the air. Hirsch rolls it up and just misses. Just before he could come down, rebounded by Nagel. Bounce pass over to Nickel. Loyola back on the move now. Score still tied at 23-23. In a tense, hard-fought game. In the front line, off the side to O'Grady to Blewett. A bounce pass in the pivot to Dawson. Spins, hooks her up. And no good. Groza rebounds for Kentucky. Slips off in the corner to Hirsch, but it goes out of bounds. Goes out to Loyola, side of their own front court in the near side corner. Kentucky calls timeout right there. The clock shows 6 minutes exactly remain in the first half. The score 23-23 between Kentucky and Loyola University of Chicago. You know, basketball fans right now, Purcell's pays tribute to Mr. D.R. Dean and Mr. Jack Johnson. Mr. Dean is buyer and manager of Purcell's lower floor, which includes housewares of all kinds, has been with Purcell's almost 5 years. Formerly, he was assistant buyer of housewares and stoves at the Elder Johnston Company in Dayton, Ohio. Mr. Johnson, assistant manager of Purcell's lower floor, has been with Purcell's over 8 years. Purcell's honors Mr. Dean and Mr. Johnson. Loosens up on him. He flips behind. He's back on the side. It goes to O'Grady. He can't shoot as Barker tightens up on him. He keeps crowding into Dawson in the pivot, who hooks off to Nickel, who jumps to shoot. No good. Goes out of bounds as Groza slipped right off on the side of Dawson and knocked the ball out of bounds. The pass comes in on the side there. Comes into Frank O'Grady, and they call Jones for holding. Frank O'Grady on the free throw lane. That's 3 of them on Wallace Jones. 6'3" Frank O'Grady on the free throw lane. He has 2 of them coming, they say. The score tied 23-23. He steps up for that first free throw. Nickel and Nagel in the safety. Barker and Barnstable wide. The first one good. Grady rolls her right in there. Loyola goes back on top, 24-23. Another one coming. It'll be in play. O'Grady on the free throw lane. Takes plenty of time. Cocks his arm. Eyes the basket with the ball. Shoots between the knees, arches it up, and no good. Comes out of there. Blewett taps it up, but no good. Rebounded by Barker over to Barnstable, who brings it in the Kentucky front court. Groza sets it up on the pivot. The pass goes in on the far side to Hirsch, who moves in, jumps, shoots, and it's no good. Comes out of there, stabbed up by Jones once, then Groza no good, and taken off by Jerry Nagel for Loyola over to Nickel. The Ramblers bargain to move now, and they're leading 24-23. Nagel in the front part of the court, cuts over to his left. Hands up on the far side to O'Grady, who jump shoots, no good, comes out of there. Jones rebounds, flips her over to Barker for Kentucky, who starts the fast break, moves in, jump shoots. It's no good, comes out of there. Groza and Jones both stab it up. Barnstable goes on the floor under the basket, and they call Barnstable for pushing. Foul is against Barnstable. That's his second one of the game. Marching up to the free throw lane now as Beard comes off the Kentucky bench. Reports the official score. There's the horn. They're waving Beard right on into the ball game, replacing Barnstable. Ralph Beard back in at guard with Cliff Barker for Kentucky. Alex Groza at the pivot. Walt Hirsch and Wawa Jones at forwards. Blewett shoots his free throw. Good. Loyola leads 25-23. Jones to Barker over to Beard. Beard slows it down and says set it up. As he moves into his right, he gives it to Jones. Off to Barker, bringing to his right. Barker moves in, jump shoots. Good. And there's a whistle on it, a foul. The goal will count. Kentucky ties her up at 25-25 as Barker hits a one-hander off about 6 or 7 feet over to the right. He has one free throw. They're calling it against Frank O'Grady, his first one of the game. Barker, one shot coming. It'll be in play. He eyes, shoots high, but it hits the rim, comes out of there. Groza taps it up once, twice, no good. Nagel takes it off for Loyola over to Blewett on the near side. The score tied 25-25 on Barker's one-hander from the right. Over to Nagel, who moves it past the 10-second line. Out in the front lines, Barker tights up on over to Dawson. Behind the back, trying on a beautiful pass to Blewett. It backfired as Groza took the pass in the pivot. Over the head of Dawson, a high one to Beard in the front lines. Beard set, shoots, it's high and good. Rapid Ralph knocked her through from about 35 feet back. Kentucky goes out on top 27-25. In the front part of the court, O'Grady in the pivot, it goes to Dawson. He spins, hooks, no good, comes out of there. Groza rebounds for Kentucky. Fires over Blewett's head to Beard, who starts the fast break. 3-on-1 over to Barker, who lays her in. Barker connected, a 3-on-1. Hirsch, Barker, and Beard. With Barker scoring to send Kentucky ahead 29-25. Barker very dangerous, bats it ball high in the front line, but Nagel recovers as Barker overmoves it. Nagel calls for O'Grady to come closer to him. He doesn't like those long passes with Barker around. Shoots, rebounds. Blewett tips it in on the rebound. 29-27. Beard brings it rapidly in the front part of the court. Sets on that same spot but misses this time, and Nagel rebounds as the ball comes right down to his belt. Kentucky 29, Loyola 27. Kentucky moving off in a 4-point lead, the longest of the game for either team. The clock shows 4 minutes, 45 seconds to play in the first half. And on the near side of the court, it comes to Dawson, who spins, shoots up with that left-hand shot, no good. Rebounds over in the corner himself. Barker moves in on him. He hooks it out to Jones, trying to get it in the front lines to Nagel. Wow. Moves in there, moves in the Kentucky front court. Holds the ball high, protects it away from Nagel, gives it out to Barker in the front lines. Barker sets, wide open, shoots her from way back, it's no good. Jones rebounds for Kentucky. He's fouled from the rear. We believe against probably Nagel. Nagel was in there. They call Nagel for holding. That's 2 of them. Against 6'1" is Jerry Nagel. Wawa Jones on the Kentucky free throw lane with one shot coming. Kentucky leading by 2 points. Jones eyes, shoots, it's good. Kentucky 30, Loyola 27. Nickel into Nagel, back to Nickel. Now moves it up past the 10-second line. The crisscross deep in the front part of the court over to Nagel. He spins, pivots to his left. Fires her over to O'Grady, still in the front lines. A high one to Blewett, breaking to the basket. He goes under the boards as Hirsch crowds him. There's a whistle. They call Hirsch for pushing Blewett under the basket. They call it pushing, and that's 3 of them against Walt Hirsch of Kentucky. There'll be one shot to Blewett. Kentucky 30, Loyola 27. 3-point lead for the Wildcats. Barker and Beard wide of the alley. The free throw by Blewett. No, it's good. It hits the rim and spins up in the air and then drops through. 30-28 the score as Barker crosses the 10-second line with it. Fires it into his left to Hirsch, who comes along the foul line. Gives it to Beard, who goes breaking down there. There's a whistle. They call Hirsch for blocking. Barnstable comes off the Kentucky bench. That's 4 of them on Walt Hirsch now for blocking. Dale Barnstable comes in. He'll be replacing Walt Hirsch. They wave him right on into the Kentucky lineup. Barnstable and Jones will be at the forwards now. Groza will be in the pivot. Cliff Barker, Ralph Beard at the guards. 6'1" Jim Nickel, Nicholl on the free throw lane for Loyola. 3 minutes exactly remain in the first half. Beard and Barker wide as Nickel eyes, shoots. It's good. 30-29 the scores. Loyola's very, very dead at the free throw lane. Over to Beard, who breaks in off to his right. Whips her out to Barker in the front line so as he can't get in there. Over to Jones, back to Barker. He moves out in the front lines, whips it right back in on the far side to Jones, who comes to the head of the circle. He's open, so he starts, shoots. No good as it comes out of there. Beard tries for the rebound. Groza bats it up once, twice. Barnstable chases it as it goes out of bounds to Loyola. Then Blewett out to put the ball in play. Looks for a man open on the fast break, and then bounce passes over to Nagel. Nagel moves it up right past the 10-second line, cuts into the head of the circle, fires off to O'Grady, who moves out to the foul line, fakes a shot, then gives it to Nagel. He's open, set, shoots, good. And the ball game is tied up at 30-30. Barnstable in the front part of the Kentucky court hooks it into Gross in the pivot, who jump shoots, no good. Rebounded by O'Grady for Loyola. 2 minutes, 20 seconds to play. Nagel brings it up, fires it in the front court to O'Grady. He walks with the ball, trying to get it in the pivot to Dawson. It'll go outside of the back court to Kentucky. Barker out to put the ball in play, as they say. Stop the clock. They have to chase it out of bounds under the basket. The long bounce pass up to Barker. There's a timeout called by Loyola of Chicago with a score. Loyola 31, Kentucky 30. You know, good teeth and healthy bones depend on an adequate supply of calcium. One dish of Dixie ice cream supplies 1/6 of an adult's daily calcium needs. Supplies 9 times as much calcium as a medium-sized carrot, 4 times as much as an egg. That shows that Dixie ice cream is not only good, but good for you. Buy some soon, won't you? And always buy Dixie, the cream of the bluegrass. Don't forget the St. Patrick's Day specials at your neighborhood Dixie dealer. Brick ice cream with a center layer of green pistachio ice cream with 2 outside layers of vanilla. There's the whistle to get the game started again. 2 minutes and 9 seconds remain in the first half. Beard's outside of the backcourt to put the ball in play. There's the signal. The bounce pass goes into Barker. Kentucky back on the move and trailing 31-30. A long bounce pass to Jones in the front part of the court, back to Barker. In the pivot it goes to Groza, rolls on the floor. Blewett picks it up, flips it behind him at Barnstable. Recovers in the front lines for Kentucky. Hooks one in the pivot to Groza, who spins, shoots under the marks, no good. Rebounded by Barker right along the end line. Out to Jones to Beard in the front court. He sets, shoots high, no good. Comes out of there. Blewett rebounds for Loyola. Gives it over to Nagel. Loyola leading 31-30. Past the 10-second line. Blewett sets it up in the front lines, and it goes to Dawson, who's way off the pivot now. He fires her over to O'Grady, who gets a screen, doesn't shoot, over to Nagel. Nagel cuts to his right as Barker tightens up on the defense. Barker slaps it down as Nagel tries to rifle it into the pivot. A minute, 28 seconds to play. Loyola leading 1 point, 31-30. A high one goes in the pivot this time to Dawson. He spins. Groza moves in, bats the ball down as he jumps to shoot. Rebounded by O'Grady. He throws her up, misses, no good. Nagel tips her up there once, no good. Rolls out of bounds under the basket. Rolling to Jones, touched it last. It goes out to Loyola. Frank O'Grady out to put the ball in play. Calls his signals. The bounce pass comes into Blewett. Barnstable moves in with him, and they call him for fouling from the rear on Ben Blewett. That is 3 of them on Dale Barnstable. Ben Blewett on the line for Loyola. The Ramblers leading 31-30. Blewett bounces that ball once, twice, then ice shoots good. Rolls through there. Loyola just doesn't seem to miss those free throws. Beard brings it in the front part of the court. Kentucky trailing. The pass cut off by Dawson as he goes into the pivot to Groza. He was playing out in front. He goes over to Loyola. They're leading 32-30 with 55 seconds to play in the first half. Nagel over to Ben Blewett, who cuts over to his right. Gives her off to Jim Nickel. In the pivot it goes to Dawson, who spins around right in the bottom of the circle. Behind his back to O'Grady. They call him in the lane, 3 seconds, trying to get the pass off, though. Barker in the front part of the court to Barnstable. He sets, breaks into the basket, gives her back to Barker in the front part of the court. Barker cuts over and fires to Barnstable over to his right. A hand off to Beard. Beard slips on the floor, but there's no call on it. Over to Barker, into Jones at the head of the circle. Blewett moves in on as he fires to Groza in the pivot. Groza has to move out to get it, though. Fires her into Hyman, into Jones, who moves on to Blewett's arms, gives to Barnstable, who jumps, shoots, and he's fouled by O'Grady. Frank O'Grady off on the side, across the arms on Kentucky's Dale Barnstable. Barnstable with 2 shots coming, has a chance to tie the ball game up. That's 2 of them on Frank O'Grady. The first one by Barnstable is no good. Hits the rim, comes out of there. The applause immediately tells you the fans are for the underdog, Loyola. Barnstable shoots his next one. It's good. 32-31. Kentucky trailing by 1 point. The clock showing 19 seconds to play in the half. Nagel hands off to Jim Nickel, who brings it to the front part of the court. Cuts over to his left. To Blewett, drops the ball, picks her up. It's walking. To go outside court to Kentucky. They stop the clock. 9 seconds to play. It goes out to Kentucky on the far side as they have to recover it. Over to Barker, who sets in the back court. A long one is just short. Goes and taps it up. No good. And it goes out of bounds under the Kentucky basket. 1 second to play. There's the end of the half. They're calling a foul down there. One official said it was out of bounds, and the other one called a foul. It's going to be ruled. We believe Jim Nickel. And Dale Barnstable will be shooting. Barnstable shoots. It's no good. He misses it. And Loyola remains on top 32-31. Barnstable with that second free throw had a chance to send the game into a tie here at halftime. But the halftime score, Loyola 32, Kentucky 31. The Ramblers leading the Wildcats by 1 point here at halftime. Purcell's pays tribute to Mr. W.E. Hastings and Mr. Vernon Trammell. Mr. Hastings, buyer and manager of Purcell's Piece Goods and Linen Department for 11 years, was formerly with Arm Stepke of Cincinnati, Ohio, the L.W. Robinson Company of Battle Creek, Michigan, and Abraham and Strauss of Brooklyn, New York. Mr. Trammell, who's been with Purcell's for 10 years, is the buyer and department manager of notions, books, stationery, and art needlework. A salute to Mr. Hastings and Mr. Trammell. Well, in just a moment, basketball fans, we'll have the individual scoring orders for you. The first half of the game for Loyola University of Chicago and the Kentucky Wildcats from the University of Kentucky. But before we get into that, we want to remind you about the St. Patrick's Day ice cream pie at your neighborhood Dixie dealer. It has pineapple and red fruit filling. The top of the pie is a smooth layer of vanilla ice cream and a whipped cream shamrock decoration. It has a green outside border, too, to blend in with the holiday spirit. Ice cream pie comes in a metal ringed paper plate, which is 8 inches in diameter and serves 6. The price, only 69 cents at your neighborhood Dixie dealer. We pause now to remind you of the play-by-play account of the University of Kentucky Loyola University basketball game in the quarterfinals of the National Invitational Tournament. It's coming to you from Madison Square Garden, New York City, through WKLX, Lexington, Kentucky. And now here's the individual scoring honors in the first half of the game. Alex Groza and Cliff Barker have been the big guns in the Wildcats' attack. They've scored 22 of Kentucky's 31 points. Groza has the edge on Barker with 12 of the points on 5 field goals and 2 out of 5 at the free throw lane. Kentucky has not been hitting the free throws as they should be and as they have been all season. Groza has missed 3 out of 5 attempts. He has 12 points, though, here at halftime. Barker's hit 2 out of 4. He's missed 2, and he's connected on 4 field goals for a total of 10 points. Third place honors go to Dale Barnstable, who has 1 field goal and 2 out of 4 at the free throw lane. Next in line is Wawa Jones with 3 points, 1 field goal and 1 free throw, and he's missed 1 attempt. Ralph Beard, the only Wildcat, along with Walt Hirsch, who hasn't been at the free throw lane, has 2 points on 1 field goal. The big gun for Loyola is rather hard to single out. The points are rather equally distributed. But Jack Karras is high-point man at halftime. He's resting on the bench right now with 4 personal fouls on him. Karras has 2 field goals, and he's hit 4 out of 4 at the charity line for a total of 8 points. Second place honors go to Ralph Clarick with 6 points. He has only 1 field goal, but he has 4 for 4 on the free throw lane. Third place honors for Loyola with 5 points go to the 6'5" Negro, Ben Blewett, who has the 5 points on 3 for 3 on his free throws and 1 field goal. The other Loyola scoring, Jerry Nagel, who has 4 points on 2 field goals. He's missed 1 free throw attempt. Ed Earl has 2 points on a field goal. Jim Nickel has 4 points on a field goal and 2 free throws, with none of them being incomplete. And Ed Dawson has 2 points on 1 field goal. Frank O'Grady has only 1 point here at halftime. He's hit 1 out of 2 free throw attempts for a total of 1 point. In the personal foul department, Jack Karras of Loyola has 4, and Jerry Nagel has 3. There's 2 charged against Frank O'Grady, and there's 1 against each Ralph Clarick, Jim Nickel, and Ed Earl. For the Kentucky Wildcats, Walter Hirsch has 4 personals. Dale Barnstable, Wallace Jones, and Alex Groza, all 3 have 3 personal fouls against them. So there's the way it stacks up here in the first half of the game. The halftime score is Kentucky 31, Loyola of Chicago 32. The Ramblers are leading the Kentucky Wildcats by virtue of their extremely high percentages of free throws. They've missed only 2, and they've shot grabs his throat, cutting the wind off. They're trolling. Beard for charging. Letberger comes off the bench on the far side. Beard shakes his head that he's okay. He stays right in there. They're calling the foul on Beard. That's the first one of the game called against Beard. Beard won in Barnstable, has one called against him. Rather, Barker has only one against him. Hirsch and Wallace Jones have 4 of them each. Both of them are resting on the Kentucky bench right now. Jerry Nagel on the free throw lane, a chance to tie the game up. He eyes, shoots, hits the rim, comes out there. Blewett stabs it right back to him. He throws it up again and hits the rim, comes out again. Barker rebounds for Kentucky. Over to Jim Line. Barker was hit by Nagel. Some of them caught it. Over the line, the front part of the Kentucky court. Out to Beard, over the line in the corner. They call Beard for blocking there on Hildebrandt. In the Kentucky, or Hildebrandt rather, for pushing Beard. The fans booed it. Beard moved in to set the screen for Jim Line to cut that left arm over in this near side corner. And Hildebrandt tried a little bit too viciously to get around Beard, and they call him for pushing. Beard has one shot, the first one called against Hildebrandt in the game. Beard bounds that ball once, twice, eyes, shoots it up and in. Kentucky leads 37-35. The fans are beginning to boo now as Kentucky shoots. Hildebrandt in the front part of the court over to Nagel. Nagel flips it over on the far side of Blewett, who's on the front lines, gives it back to Nagel, and the pivot goes to Karras. He spins around, hands off on the side. A little number 12 at Earl. Ball gets away from him, picked up by Barker. Barker moves in the front part of the court, pivots around Karras, lays it up, but it rolls off on the near side of the rim. Karras picks it up for Loyola and moves out of there. Barker blasting in hard under that Kentucky basket. Rather took Karras by surprise. In the front part of the court now, Nagel cuts over to his left. Barker tightens up on him as he finishes his dribble. Out it comes to Ed Earl, and the pivot to Karras. He spin shoots good. A hook shot by Karras ties the ball game up at 37-37. Barker into Beard, who crosses the 10-second line with it, cuts over to his left, gives it to Barnstable. His set, shoot, tie, no good, and it's a whistle as the ball is in the air. They're calling Hildebrandt, fouling Beard again. Pushing out on Beard as he broke into the basket for the rebound of Barnstable shot. That's 2 of them on Hildebrandt now. Beard on the free throw lane again. He has one coming. It'll be in play, but a chance to give Kentucky the lead. He eyes, shoots, it's up and in. Beard gives the Wildcats the lead at 38-37. Exactly 15 minutes to play in the game. The second quarterfinal of the game. Hildebrandt pivots in the front court. Nagel goes on the floor. There's a whistle, and they call a foul on Barker. They call it for holding. The referee signaled holding. The PA man announced charging. Nonetheless, Nagel was on the floor, and he has one free throw coming. The second call against Barker. He eyes, shoots, short, no good. Karras bounds it up, and then Groza gets it over behind. He's back to Barker. Kentucky back on the move now, leading 38-37. Pass comes over to Beard, who crosses the mid-court stripe with it. Sets at the head of the circle. He's open, shoots, good. Beard connects right at the head of the circle, about 5 or 6 feet back behind the line. Kentucky 40, Loyola 37. Hildebrandt comes from the front part of the court over to Jerry Nagel, who weaves in over to try to high one to Karras in the pivot. He spins around, hooks. It's no good. Comes out of there. Groza tries for the ball, but it's taken right off his hands by Earl. He jumps, gives it to Karras, who spins, hooks. It comes out of there. Groza rebounds again. Holds the ball there. Gets plenty of time with it. Bounce pass up to Beard at the mid-court stripe. Beard comes charging along the free throw lane, drives away from Karras over in the corner, then turns, flips with one hand. It rims up and comes out of there. Just barely off the rim. It dribbled out of there. Karras rebounds over to Nagel to Hildebrandt. Up the backcourt now for Loyola. They're trading 3 points, 37-40. High one in the pivot. It goes this time. Karras spins, hooks. It's no good. Comes off the near side of the rim. Barker rebounds, starts the fast break for Kentucky. Fires her over to Beard, who falls away from the basket, and they call him for walking. It'll go outside court to Kentucky. Hildebrandt fires a long one to Blewett, and Blewett shoots no good over the basket. Rebounded by Earl, and Line ties him up. They call Line for fouling. Well, there's one that you could almost call an injustice. They didn't hold the game up, but gave the ball out immediately to Loyola, and Kentucky was caught flat-footed with 3 Loyola players breaking down the floor. Well, if the official didn't want to stop it, I don't guess he had to. He didn't. There's a timeout for Loyola to score Kentucky 40, Loyola 37. You know, now that you've heard about the 9 people who work towards a better and more beautiful home for you, and whether you're shopping for a new living room suit, a measuring cup, or an electric blanket, you can buy it with confidence at Purcell's. The newest items, the most popular items, the best quality merchandise will always be found at Purcell's, shopping headquarters for thousands of Central Kentucky men and women. The play-by-play broadcast of the Loyola Chicago University of Kentucky quarterfinal game coming to you through the courtesy of Dixie Ice Cream and Purcell's of Lexington from New York's Madison Square Garden to the facilities of WKLX, Lexington, Kentucky. Well, if Ted Grizzard's listening in, In Lexington, we could sure use the help, but Ted would get up and move around that chair. Ed Earl's on the free throw lane now, keeps his feet close together, then shoots it short. Beard line stabs it over to Barker. They call a foot on the line, though, by Earl, and it goes outside court to Kentucky. Barker into Beard. Swings up the backcourt, past the midcourt stripe. He cuts over to his right, gives it a line to head the circle to Barker, who moves in, jumps, flips her up, and hits her in, bounds in the air, no good. Grozo taps for the ball. Barker tries for it, and he goes out of bounds, under the basket, off Barker's elbow. Kentucky 40, Loyola 37. Nagel into Hillebrand, back over to Art Nagel to the right. Nagel in the front part of the court. Fakes to Blewett, then gives it in the pivot to Karras. He spins, hooks, good. Jack Karras connected in the pivot. 40-39 the score. They continually feed in the pivot to Karras, giving it in there to him. He has 4 personals. A high one that blows over his head and out of bounds. They call Groza for pushing. The ball was over Groza's head. And they call Groza for pushing. That is 4 of them on Groza. Well, Kentucky is going to be throttled with the same prospect that Loyola is. Their star center with 4 personals. Jack Karras on the free throw lane. Kerris. Bounds that ball once, twice. A chance to tie the game. He eyes, shoots. It's no good. And tipped in right in front of the basket. Believe by Blewett. They give it to Earl, though. And Loyola leads 41-40. Barker in the front part of the court to Barnstable. Moves around the head of the circle over to Beard. Beard on the far side. Sets it up the line at the head of the circle. Line jump shoots. Good. Oh, lefty line. Connected right at the head of the circle. Kentucky goes right back on top, 42-41. Jerry Nagel in the pass to the 10-second line. Over to Hildebrandt, to Earl, to Blewett in the front lines. Blewett sets on the screen, shoots high and no good. Rebounded by Barker for Kentucky. Nagel moves in on the inside, takes it away from him. There's a whistle under the basket, and a foul is being called against Barker for holding. Nagel moved in, stole the ball, and they call Barker for holding. That is 2 of them on Cliff Barker of Kentucky. Jerry Nagel on the free throw lane, a chance to tie her up, does it, 42-42. Line whips her into Beard over to Barker in the front court. Barker sets her up in the front line, puts it over to Barnstable. Moving in, knocking Barnstable off his feet and on the floor. Jerry Nagel, Beard moves back, Hildebrandt gives a hip to Beard, and the ball goes out of bounds. They call a foul under there. They call it on Hildebrandt. That's 3 of them on Hildebrandt. Barnstable was knocked almost completely off his feet by Ed Earl. Beard has 1 shot coming, a chance to give the Wildcats back that lead. 12 minutes. 20 seconds to play. Beard shoots. It's good. He connects, and Kentucky leads by 1 point, 43-42. Both teams playing tight defense in the game also as Nagel comes from the front part of the court. He hands off to Hildebrandt, who cuts over to his right. Pivots, gives it to Blewett in the front line. To bounce pass over to Earl. Cuts into the corner. Line goes with him. Crowds him under the basket. He throws it back in court to Hildebrandt on the foul line to Karras in the pivot. He spins, hooks. It's no good. Jim Line rebounds for Kentucky. Ball's on the floor, gets up, a bounce pass over to Barnstable to Barker. In the front part of the court, Barker cuts over to his left, breaks for the basket, takes off, jump, shoots, good! A beauty by Barker, who took off about 7 feet behind the basket and went coasting in under the roller end. Kentucky goes on top, 45-42. In the front part of the court, Nagel breaks to the basket, gets the pass, Groza backs it down, Karras picks it up, and Line fouls him across the arms. As Karras jumped in to shoot, Line stabbed with the ball and hit him across the arms. They call it on Jim Line, his second one. And Jack Karras will be on the free throw lane, 44 with 2 shots coming. Ralph Cleric and Jim Nickel come back into the Loyola lineup. Bringing their jackets with them, Ben Blewett comes out. And Art Hildebrandt comes out. Jim Nickel, Jerry Nagel at the guards, Jack Karras in the center, Ed Earl and Ralph Cleric are at the forwards. 2 shots coming, the first one will be dead. Karras eyes that mark for Loyola, shoots, it's good. The first one drops through there, 45-43. Narrowing the Kentucky lead to 2 points. The ball will be in play now. Karras eyes that mark. Shoots up from between the knees, and it's good. Drops right through there, 45-44 the score. Line gives her into Barker, who breaks in the Kentucky front court, pulls up his Beard, cuts in behind him, he flips her over to Beard on the far side. Beard set, shoots, it's good. Beard set from about 35 feet over to the left and blasted her in there. Kentucky pulls out on top again by 3 points, 47-44. Jim Nickel in the front lines to Nagel, a bounce pass in the pivot to Karras. He spins around the bottom of the circle, hooks up and in. Another one by Jack Karras, a hooker, and the pivot is good. 47-46, and Kentucky's lead is fiddled right back down to 1 point. Beard in the front court, fakes steps and breaks down the alley, throws behind him to Groza. It's cut off by Karras, though. Karras whips it over on the side of Jim Nickel. Loyola back on the move now to Ralph Cleric in the front court. Cuts over, gives it to Ed Earl, to Nagel in the front part of the court. A bounce pass over to Nickel. On the near side of the court on the screen set up, but Cleric doesn't shoot. He gives it out to Ed Earl, who does so. Shoot short, no good, and Barker rebounds. Cocks that arm back and protects the ball and feeds her up the beard at the mid-court stripe. And moves right into the Kentucky front line. Set, shoots, it's high but short, no good. Bound to the floor and picked up by Nagel for Loyola. Kentucky 47, the Ramblers of Loyola 46. A 1-point lead for the Wildcats. The clock shows 10 minutes and 45 seconds to play. A long time out yet. Ed Earl behind his back gives the screen to Cleric, who set, shoots from way back high and comes out of there no good. Barnstable taps it over to Beard. The fast break starts. Beard whips it over to Barnstable, who gets the ball behind him, jump shoots, it's no good. Barnstable missed her. He was off about 4 or 5 feet over the left, came off the rim and dropped right in the hands of Ed Earl. There's a whistle. Loyola calls timeout. Ed Earl moves in and calls timeout. The clock showing 10 minutes and 25 seconds remain to play in the game. Kentucky 47, Loyola 46. Dixie ice cream is more than a dessert. It's a nutritious food full of the same vitamins, minerals, and proteins that make milk nature's most nearly perfect food. Enjoy Dixie, the cream of the bluegrass, soon and often. And remember, there's a Dixie dealer near you. So be sure to keep Dixie ice cream on hand at home at all times. Delicious for afternoon sundaes by a la mode. As a matter of fact, Dixie is healthful as well as refreshing. So stop by your neighborhood dealer and pick up the handy carry-home pint package or the bulk. Your neighborhood Dixie dealer. Wallace Jones comes back into the Kentucky lineup, and out is Captain Alex Groza. Jones will be at the pivot for Kentucky, and Groza is out for the first time in the game. Wawa Jones in the pivot will be on this tough Jack Harris, who's been going like a house of fire. Here so far in the second half, he has 3 field goals and 2 free throws for a total of 8 points. Nagel holds the ball, dribbles in the front court as he steps over. That gives it to Ralph Cleric. There's a whistle. They call one, let's see, we believe, on Jones. They call it on Jones. And Carrick just turns around and shakes hands with him. That's 5 of them on Wawa Jones. Jones was pretty surprised there, too. Alex Groza be coming right back into the Kentucky lineup. Not getting any rest. Groza's back in, and Wawa commits his 5th personal foul. And Karras, with that personal, has a chance to tie the game up at 47. He eyes the mark, stretches those arms out, shoots, it is good. Drops in there, and the game is all tied up at 47-47. Beard takes the pass from line, moves up the backcourt. Past the 10-second line with the ball, flips her over to Jim Line, holds it, fires it in the pivot to Groza. Coming in front of him, Nagel tries to get it. Groza moves onto the basket, shoots no good. Karras rebounds, flips her over to Jim Nickel. Still in the backcourt, over to Nagel. Past the 10-second line, he cuts over to his right, fakes one to Earl, then sets, fires her in the pivot to Jack Karras. He moves around there, on the line to Earl. A jump shoot, short, no good, and goes out of bounds. Whipped in, though, by Nickel, right to Groza, over to Barker, who starts the fast break, moves in the front court. Whips over to Beard, he sets, high and good. Ralph Beard connects from about 30 feet on the near side of the court. Kentucky 49, Loyola 47. Ralph Cleric over in the front part of the court to Jerry Nagel. Cuts in behind him, but the pass goes in on the near side to Ed Earl, along with the cross court in the corner. Barnstable moves in to pick it up, and a foot touched the end line. It goes out to Loyola. The high pass deep in the front part of the court to Nagel, who catches the ball, lets it go in the back court. He moves back there and picks it up. Then comes back in the attack court. In the pivot it goes to Jack Karras. He spins, hooks her up, and no good. Comes bouncing out of there. Jim Line comes bounding in there and gets the rebound for Kentucky. They call one on Ed Earl into the basket for charging. All the way up the court now. That's 2 of them on Loyola's Ed Earl. He's a 6'3" junior. It's Jim Line that's on the free throw lane. He has 1 shot coming. Cocks that left hand. He shoots. It's good. The old lefty, Jim Line, pours her in there. Kentucky gets that 3-point lead back, 50-47 now. Back in the attack. Nagel moves up, past the 10-second line, cuts over to his left. Barker tightens up on him the minute that dribble ends. Over it goes to Ed Earl. A high one in the pivot to Karras. He spins around there. Groza plays him just a wee bit loose over to Earl. Out in the front lines it goes to Nickel to Nagel, back to Nickel. Cuts over to his right, in right on the foul line to Karras. He spins around, breaks. Groza bats the ball out of his hand. A beautiful block. And they call, let's see. What do they call it? They call it walking. Barker out to put the ball in play. A beautiful block by Alex Groza. A beauty. Beard in the front part of the court. Over the Barnstable to screen. Barney sets, shoots, and hits the rim. Comes out there. No good. Rebounded by Karras for Loyola. Over to Jim Nickel. Loyola back on the attack now. 8 minutes, 40 seconds to play. Front lines it goes to Ed Earl. He pivots around, gives it over to Nagel. There's a foul called on Ed Earl of Loyola. Blocking out in the front lines on Ed Earl. That's 3 of them. Kentucky's not shooting. They're taking it out. The pressure is really on. Beard out at the midcourt stripe. 1 minute and 13 seconds to play. The clock stops. Loyola 64, Kentucky 56. Pass goes over to Beard to Barker. Kentucky back in possession now. Pass in the front part of the court to Barnstable. Batted out of his hands by Nagel. Barnstable moves in the back court, and they call it over and back. They go out to Loyola at the midcourt stripe. Out to put the ball in play. Jerry Nagel looks for his man open. Fires a high one to Karras right on the head of the circle. Back to Nagel on the near side of the court. Holds that ball. Moves over to his right in the pivot. It goes to Jack Karras. Karras spins around to Ed Earl. Barnstable stabs at it. Can't get it. Earl moves on the far side. Then breaks to the basket. There's a whistle. They call Raj Day for holding. 55 seconds to play. Day commits his first personal. His second personal. Ed Earl on the free throw lane. One shot coming to him. Nagel in that backcourt looks over at the bench. All happiness is about to break loose for Loyola. And Nagel says, hold it back. The game's not over. 55 seconds to play. But Kentucky's now behind 9 points. 9 points. 65 to 56. As Ed Earl connects at the free throw line. Beard and Barker bringing the front part of the court. Barker jump shoots short, no good. Rebounded by Karras. Over in the corner to Nagel. Now, Loyola has the ball. A high in the front part of the court to Karras. 40 seconds to play. Break into Nagel on the wide open. He lays it in. 67 to 56. An 11-point lead for Loyola. Winning, going away now. Jim Line at the head of the circle. Spins, jump shoots, no good. Comes out of there. Karras rebounds. Flips her over to Bloyd. To Ed Earl. 25 seconds to play. He flips around a bounce pass over to Jerry Nagel. To Jack Karras, who holds the ball on his hip. A stalling delaying action. 16 seconds to play to Bloyd. To Karras. Back to Carrick. Nagel checks around to get the clock. Over to Karras. To Carrick breaking to the basket. He can't shoot. His spear tightens up on him. 6 seconds to play. And it goes to Ed Earl. He spins around. Fakes a shot and gives it out to Bloyd in the front lines. Over to Nagel, who sets. The ball game is over. Boy, you've never seen so much happiness in all your life as there is among the Loyola Ramblers now down on the floor. Walla Jones, Alex Groves will both move in and shake the hands of Jack Karras, who's played a tremendous ball game. And the heartbreaking part is far across the way, going under the tunnel. The defeated Wildcats lead. Well, there's not much that you can say, and right now there's not much we feel like saying. The final score, Loyola 67, Kentucky 56. Well, it's one of those things. This is what everybody had hoped would climax 4 glorious years for the Kentucky seniors. Something like this seems to always happen just when you get to the crest of your peak. But there's still the NCAA left, and Kentucky is the defending champion, of course, of the NCAA. That'll start next Monday night when Kentucky will meet Villanova in the second game of the doubleheader with Yale and Illinois playing the opening game. Purcell's of Lexington and Dixie Ice Cream, the cream of the bluegrass, have brought you the play-by-play account. Just a moment, we'll have the individual scoring honors on the game. But you know, Junior, picking at his food again, well, pep up lagging appetites by serving Dixie ice cream at your dinner table regularly. Give that youngster of yours a heaping dish after school. Ice cream contains generous quantities of health-giving vitamin A, proteins, calcium, and other essential minerals. Give your children the nutritious benefits of Dixie ice cream. It's the cream of the bluegrass. Here's the individual scoring honors for the ball game. High point man for the Kentucky Wildcats was Rapid Ralph Beard with 15 points. Beard had 15 points on 6 field goals and 3 free throws. Second place honors are divided between Cliff Barker and Alex Groza with 12 points each. And the third place honors for Kentucky go to Jim Line with 7 points. The other Kentucky scoring, Wawa Jones 6 points, Dale Barnstable 4 to round out the scoring of 67 points for the Wildcats. For Loyola of Chicago, the big gun, as more or less was expected, was Jack Kerris, Kerris, a 6'6" pivot, who played a tremendous foul game and racked up 23 points. Second place honors to the fast running 6'1" senior guard, Jerry Nagel, who rolled in a total of 11 points. And third place honors to Ed Earl, who started connecting in the clutch in the closing minutes of the ball game. He had 9 points. The other Loyola scoring, Ralph Cleric and Ben Blewett, had 7 points each. Jim Nickel had 5, Ed Dawson had 2, and Frank O'Grady had 1 point. The final score of 56 for the Ramblers from Loyola University. And the final score, Loyola 67, Kentucky 56. 67 to 56. Well, this is going to be the worst defeat that Kentucky has had since the Notre Dame game of last year. Well, there's not much you feel like saying except that Dixie and Purcell's were extremely glad to send the broadcast your way. Don't forget, we'll be on hand right here in Chicago, or rather in New York City, for the opening round game of the NCAA 1 week from tonight. That is Monday night, March the 21st, the opening round NCAA, Kentucky versus Villanova. And, of course, Kentucky is the defending champions of the NCAA. Yale and Illinois will play the opening game. Villanova and Kentucky will play the second game. Well, in spite of the fact that the Kentucky Ball Club was defeated here in their first game of the National Invitational Tournament by 67 to 56 score at the hands of the Loyola University Ramblers from Chicago, Illinois, there's nothing but praise to be handed out for the Kentucky Wildcats. That's all there is to it. A great bunch of guys and a great bunch of ball players and great competitors. They went down in defeat rather gracefully and in sportsmanship that would make every Kentuckian truly proud of them. Shaking hands with the victorious Loyola Ramblers after the game was over, and in nothing but good spirits in spite of the fact this is going to be a tremendous upset. Both Kentucky teams knocked out of the tournament. Bradley knocking out Western Kentucky 95 to 86. Now Loyola knocking out the University of Kentucky 67 to 56. But so the story goes. Well, that winds up the broadcast from here. This is Claude Sullivan speaking for Dixie Ice Cream and Purcell's of Lexington, returning you now from Madison Square Garden, New York City, to Lexington, Kentucky.